Have you ever noticed that she never calls or texts you first? And no matter how much you wait, it's always you who has to make the first move. If that sounds familiar, then listen carefully, because what you do next will determine whether she chases you or forgets you. When a woman never calls or texts you first, the natural instinct for most men is to step in and fill the silence. You keep texting, you keep calling, you keep showing up in her inbox because you don't want to lose the connection. You think that by proving your consistency, by always reaching out, she will somehow recognize your effort and start giving you the attention you crave. But the reality is the opposite. The more you reward her silence with your presence, the more you communicate that you are comfortable with being taken for granted. You are telling her without words that she does not need to put in any effort because you will always be there regardless of how little she gives in return. And when she realizes this, she has no motivation to change her behavior. Why would she start calling or texting first when she knows you will always do it for her? This is where many men sabotage their chances without even realizing it. They confuse effort with desperation. There is a huge difference between showing interest and overcompensating for someone else's lack of interest. A man who continues to pour energy into someone who does not reciprocate is not being loyal. He is being blind. Women can sense this, and instead of admiring your persistence, they start questioning your value. They begin to wonder, if he is always available for me no matter how much I ignore him, maybe no one else values him either. Your constant chasing creates the illusion of scarcity, that you have nothing else going on, no one else to talk to, no better options to explore. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who seems like he has no options and no boundaries. When you stop rewarding her silence, you are making a subtle but powerful statement. You are saying, my time and attention are not free for those who don't value them. And this shift changes the entire dynamic. Instead of her ignoring your messages and still receiving the same level of effort from you, she is now faced with the reality that your attention is not guaranteed. Silence is no longer something she can hide behind. Now your absence starts to speak louder than your presence ever did. Suddenly, the texts you used to send that went unanswered become the texts she starts noticing aren't there anymore. The calls you used to make become the calls she realizes she is missing. Stopping yourself from rewarding her silence is not about playing games. It's about breaking a destructive cycle. You are not punishing her. You are protecting your own self-worth. Every time you respond to her lack of effort with more effort, you lower your own standards. But when you stop chasing after someone who is unresponsive, you show that you respect yourself too much to be caught in a one-sided pursuit. And here is the truth most men don't realize. Women respect men who respect themselves. She may not say it, but she feels it. When you stop chasing, when you stop rewarding her silence, you create an unspoken boundary that forces her to either step up or step aside. You need to understand that attention is a form of currency. The more freely you give it, the less valuable it becomes. If she never has to earn your attention, then your messages lose their weight, your calls lose their meaning, and your presence loses its impact. But when you hold back, when you only invest in those who reciprocate, your attention becomes rare and precious, and rare things are always valued more. By refusing to reward her silence, you are elevating the worth of your presence. You are teaching her and reminding yourself that connection must be mutual. Effort must be balanced, and respect must flow both ways. One of the most important principles you must learn when dealing with women is this: match her energy. Too many men waste their time and emotions by overinvesting in someone who gives them little to nothing in return. You text her 3 times in a row when she hasn't even replied once. You call her multiple times when she doesn't even pick up. You rearrange your schedule to see her when she doesn't even consider yours. And every time you do this, you create an imbalance that slowly kills her respect for you. Women are highly intuitive. They can feel when a man is putting in more energy than she is willing to give, and that imbalance makes her lose interest faster than anything else. But when you start matching her energy, when you stop overextending yourself and only reflect back the level of effort she is showing, you protect your dignity and reset the dynamic. Matching her energy is not about being cold, rude, or distant. It is about balance. If she calls, you call. If she texts, you text. If she makes time for you, you make time for her. But if she goes silent, you don't force communication just to fill the void. You let her silence speak for itself and you respond accordingly. This way, you avoid the trap of becoming the only one driving the relationship forward. Because here's the truth. When you are the only one carrying the weight, she will never feel the need to pick it up. She will grow comfortable with you doing all the work, and comfort eventually leads to complacency. But when you reflect her behavior back to her, she is forced to face the reality of her own effort or lack of it. The beauty of matching energy is that it creates a mirror. If she is genuinely interested in you, she will see that when she gives more, she receives more. It becomes a natural flow of give and take. But if she isn't truly invested, then her lack of effort becomes obvious, and you save yourself from wasting months or even years on someone who was never serious about you. In both cases, you win. Matching her energy protects you from unnecessary heartbreak and keeps the relationship balanced. It communicates without words that you are not desperate, that you value yourself enough not to pour into someone who refuses to pour back into you. Most men don't realize that when they keep doing more than a woman, they're actually removing her opportunity to invest. You think you're showing love, but you're actually suffocating the relationship by not letting her contribute. Women need to feel that they are part of the connection, that their presence matters, and that their actions influence your behavior. If she feels that you will always do the work no matter what she does, she will slowly disconnect because her role in the relationship feels meaningless. But when you match her energy, you create space for her to step up. She knows that if she doesn't put in effort, you won't either. And that simple realization forces her to either engage or walk away. Matching her energy also saves your mental peace. Instead of stressing about why she didn't reply, instead of overthinking if she still likes you, you simply align with her behavior. If she pulls back, you pull back. If she comes closer, you come closer. There's no guessing, no overanalyzing, no chasing. You let her actions guide your actions, and in that way, you always stay in control. Control doesn't mean manipulation. It means you are no longer allowing yourself to be drained by one-sided effort. You are simply reflecting what she gives, and that keeps you emotionally balanced. Think of it like dancing. A dance only works when both partners are in rhythm, when both are giving energy that complements the other. If you keep moving while she stands still, it's not a dance, it's desperation. But when you only move as she moves, when you only step as she steps, you force her to participate if she wants the dance to continue. That's what matching her energy really is. A silent but powerful way of demanding balance in the relationship without ever having to argue, beg, or complain. It is showing, not telling, that you will not give more than you receive. One of the biggest mistakes men make when dealing with a woman who never calls or texts first is falling into the trap of obsessing over her replies. You send a message and suddenly your entire mood depends on whether she replies instantly, after hours, or not at all. Your mind races with questions. Is she busy? Is she ignoring me? Did I say something wrong? Is she losing interest? And before you know it, your whole day is controlled by the little notification sound of your phone. This is where many men lose their power without even realizing it. Because the moment you make her responses the center of your life, you hand over control of your emotions to someone else. Instead of being grounded in who you are, you become addicted to her validation. And that kind of dependency always makes you look weak in her eyes. Women are attracted to men who are centered, who have their own purpose, their own drive, and their own world outside of a relationship. When you stop waiting for her replies and start focusing on yourself, you shift from being needy to being powerful. Focusing on yourself does not mean ignoring her completely or pretending she doesn't matter. It means redirecting your energy to the things that make you grow, to the things that build your value, to the things that remind you that your worth does not come from whether or not she texts you back. A man who wakes up in the morning with goals, with discipline, with passion, and with vision doesn't have time to sit around staring at his phone. He is too busy living his life, too busy making progress, too busy becoming someone of substance. And here's the irony. When you stop obsessing over her replies and start pouring that energy into yourself, she notices. Suddenly, she's not the center of your world anymore. And that shift creates curiosity. She begins to wonder what you're doing, where your attention is going, and why you're no longer as available as you used to be. That curiosity often turns into pursuit. But even if she doesn't pursue, you still win. Because by focusing on yourself, you're not only protecting your emotional health, you're also upgrading your value. Think about it. If you spend hours stressing over a text that may or may not come, you've wasted precious time that could have been invested into your fitness, your career, your business, your passions, or your mindset. Every minute you waste waiting for her is a minute you could have used to level up your life. And when you level up your life, you naturally attract better relationships, deeper respect, and greater opportunities. Your silence becomes powerful because it's not empty. It's filled with self-improvement, self-discipline, and self-growth. Women are drawn to men who have something going on in their lives. A man who has vision and purpose doesn't need to beg for attention because his presence itself commands it. When you focus on yourself instead of her replies, you show that you are not dependent on her for your happiness. You show that your world is bigger than just one person. You show that you are whole, confident, and fulfilled on your own. And the truth is, this kind of energy is magnetic. A man who is secure in himself, who doesn't crumble just because she didn't text back, is far more attractive than the one who is desperate for her attention. The more you invest in yourself, the less you care about how quickly she replies, or if she replies at all, because you realize that her messages don't define your worth. They don't build your value. They don't make you the man you're becoming. Whether she texts you or not, your life keeps moving forward. Your goals keep moving forward. Your growth keeps moving forward. And when you carry that mindset, you put yourself in a position where you never lose. If she starts appreciating your absence and comes back with genuine effort, good. If she doesn't, even better, because you've been focusing on yourself. And by doing that, you've already outgrown her lack of effort. One of the most overlooked truths in relationships is that nobody can miss something that never goes away. If you are constantly calling, constantly texting, constantly trying to get her attention, you may feel like you are keeping the connection alive, but in reality, you are suffocating it. Attraction is built not just in presence, but in absence. A woman cannot miss you if she never has the chance to feel your absence. This is why giving her space is one of the most powerful things you can do when she never calls or texts you first. By stepping back, by pulling away, by allowing silence to exist between you, you create the emotional gap that gives her the opportunity to actually feel your value. If you are always available, always accessible, always present at the push of a button, you become ordinary, predictable, and easy to take for granted. But when you step back, when you stop flooding her with your presence, suddenly you become noticeable in your absence. Giving her space does not mean ignoring her out of anger, playing childish games, or trying to manipulate her emotions. It means choosing not to force something that should be natural. It means creating the distance that allows her to reflect on whether she actually values having you in her life. When you're always around, she never gets the chance to evaluate your importance because you've removed the possibility of missing you. But when you step back, she's left with the silence that makes her realize what she had. In that silence, she starts thinking. She starts wondering why you're not texting like before. She starts questioning what changed and whether someone else has your attention now. That thought alone is often enough to spark a woman's curiosity and push her to re-engage with you. Many men fear giving space because they think it means losing her. They believe that if they don't keep pushing, she will forget about them. But the reality is, if she forgets you just because you gave her space, she was never truly interested in the first place. All you did was reveal the truth sooner rather than later. And that's not a loss. It's a gift because it saves you time and energy that you could be using to build yourself and connect with someone who actually values you. On the other hand, if she does care, your absence will trigger her to act. She will call, she will text, she will check in because she realizes the attention she took for granted is no longer guaranteed. Giving space also restores balance in the relationship. If she's used to you always chasing, always initiating, always making sure the connection doesn't die, she becomes lazy. She stops contributing because she knows you'll handle it. But when you step back, when you stop rewarding her lack of effort, she has no choice but to either step up or let go. And in either outcome, you win. Because if she steps up, it proves she actually values the connection. If she lets go, then you are free from wasting your time on someone who was never fully invested. In both cases, your value increases because you've shown that you're not afraid to pull back when the energy is not mutual. The power of absence cannot be overstated. Think about how much more you value people, moments, and experiences after you haven't had them for a while. The same principle applies here. By not always being available, you give her the chance to feel the void that only you can fill. That void is what creates longing, and longing is what creates attraction. When she feels the shift from you being always there to suddenly not there, she starts to recognize how much space you occupied in her life. That recognition is what makes her miss you. And when she misses you, she's far more likely to reach out, to call, to text, to initiate, because she now understands that your presence is not something to be taken lightly. When a woman never calls or texts you first, it is very easy to get caught up in excuses for her behavior. You tell yourself she is just shy, maybe she is busy, maybe she doesn't like texting, maybe she is waiting for you to take the lead every time. These thoughts keep you invested, they keep you chasing, and they keep you hoping that eventually she will come around. But here's the reality. Interest does not hide forever. If someone truly values you, if someone genuinely wants you in their life, they will find a way to show it. And the only way you can know for sure whether she is serious or just keeping you around as an option is by testing her interest. This does not mean setting traps, playing games, or manipulating her. It simply means pulling back enough to see whether she makes an effort when you no longer do all the work. Testing her interest is about clarity. You've already seen what happens when you carry the entire connection by yourself. She grows distant, she gets comfortable, and she puts in no effort because she doesn't have to. But when you stop being the one who always initiates, you create a clear line between genuine interest and convenience. If she actually cares, the moment you stop calling and texting all the time, she will reach out. She will notice the change, and her actions will show you that she does not want to lose the connection. But if she doesn't care, then your silence will be met with more silence, and that is your answer. It may sting, but it's better than wasting months or years on someone who never intended to reciprocate your effort in the first place. The power of testing her interest is that it forces her to reveal her true position without you having to ask directly. When a woman knows you'll always reach out, she never has to reveal how much she actually values you. She can simply sit back, enjoy the attention, and put in no work. But when you pull back, when you stop rewarding her lack of effort, she is forced into a decision. Either she steps forward and proves she wants this connection, or she fades away and proves she was never invested. In both cases, you are no longer living in confusion. You now know where you stand. Testing her interest also protects your self-respect. Instead of begging for attention, instead of trying to force someone to care, you are letting her actions speak. And actions are always louder than words. If she wanted to call you, she would. If she wanted to see you, she would. If she wanted to talk to you, she would. It really is that simple. By testing her interest, you stop making excuses for her behavior and start looking at the reality in front of you. You stop trying to convince yourself that she feels something when her behavior clearly shows otherwise. The test is simple but powerful. Stop doing what you normally do and watch what she does in return. If you usually text her first every morning, stop. If you usually call her every night, don't. If you usually plan the dates, take a step back. Then see if she notices, see if she makes an effort, see if she initiates. A woman who values you will not let silence last forever. She will break it because the connection matters to her. But if she allows the silence to stretch on without caring, then she has already given you your answer. That answer may not be what you wanted to hear, but it will set you free. The truth is, testing her interest is not just about her, it's also about you. It forces you to confront whether you have been investing in someone who actually deserves your effort. It makes you realize whether the relationship is balanced or one-sided. And most importantly, it reminds you that you do not have to chase someone to prove your worth. Your value does not depend on how much effort you put into someone who refuses to give the same in return. By pulling back and observing, you reclaim your power. You stop living in confusion and you start living in clarity. And clarity, even if it hurts, is always better than wasting your time in illusions. There comes a point when you have to look at yourself and ask, why am I tolerating this? Why am I accepting the bare minimum and convincing myself it is enough? When a woman never calls or texts you first, when she makes no effort to initiate or contribute, yet you still hold on hoping she will change, the issue is no longer about her. It becomes about you and the standards you have set for yourself. A man who values himself does not beg for attention, does not tolerate neglect, and does not waste his time on people who consistently show him that he is not a priority. If she can go days without checking in on you, if she can watch you pour your effort into her while giving back almost nothing, then the real question is not whether she cares about you. It's whether you care about yourself enough to raise your standards. Raising your standards means deciding that you will no longer entertain one-sided connections. It means choosing not to chase people who do not chase you. It means refusing to invest energy into situations where you are the only one showing up. When you raise your standards, you stop seeing rejection or lack of interest as a loss and start seeing it as a filter. If she doesn't meet your standard of mutual effort, she is simply filtered out of your life, leaving space for someone better, someone who actually sees your value without needing to be convinced. Too many men hold on to women who barely give them anything because they fear being alone, but that fear keeps them trapped in mediocrity. Raising your standards requires courage. It requires you to say, I would rather stand alone than lower myself just to keep someone who doesn't truly want me. Think about what happens when you don't raise your standards. You end up begging for the smallest crumbs of attention. You end up overthinking every little interaction. You end up feeling anxious and insecure because deep down, you know the connection is unbalanced. That's not love. That's not attraction. That's self-neglect. And the longer you tolerate it, the more you condition yourself to believe that this is all you deserve. But the moment you raise your standards, the entire dynamic changes. You stop begging for texts or calls because you know that the right woman will give those naturally. You stop settling for inconsistent effort because you know consistency is the foundation of genuine interest. You stop wasting time on someone who doesn't see your worth because you know your worth does not diminish just because one person fails to recognize it. Raising your standards also communicates something powerful to others. It shows them that you are not desperate, that you are not afraid to walk away, and that your self-respect comes before your desire for validation. Women respect men who respect themselves. When she sees that you are willing to cut off communication rather than tolerate neglect, when she realizes you will not keep chasing her despite her lack of effort, she is forced to see you differently. You are no longer the man who can be taken for granted. You are the man who demands respect through his actions, not his words. And this shift either pushes her to rise to your level or proves that she was never willing to meet you there. Ultimately, raising your standards is about living from a place of abundance instead of scarcity. It is about understanding that there are countless women out there, but only a few who will truly value you, and those are the only ones worth your time. When you stop settling for less, you start attracting more. When you stop accepting neglect, you start experiencing respect. When you raise your standards, you don't have to force anyone to text you first, to call you back, or to put in effort. They will do it naturally because they see your value and because they know you will not tolerate anything less. And that is the kind of energy that transforms not only your relationships, but your entire life.